Today's episode is sponsored by Geeklery. Geeklery is a curated collection of artisan-made jewelry and goods inspired by our favorite fandoms and things in pop culture. My personal favorite thing about Geeklery is that they have so many one-of-a-kind or limited edition products that their collection changes all the time. They also donate 5% of their sales to Pop Culture Classroom, which is working to inspire a love of learning, increase literacy, celebrate diversity, and build community through the tools of pop culture. If you want to check them out, go to geeklery.com and follow them all over the internet at Geeklery. Hey, welcome to the Sartorial Geek Podcast. I am Jordan Danae, and I'm so excited for the first time to be here with Andra Hermann. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing pretty well in 21 adjusted terms.
Yeah, I feel like this actually may be the first time we've ever spoken. I'm realizing. I think I've only interacted with you on the internet. So we've never met, right?
I think that's true. Yeah, we've emailed a little bit and then, just like Instagram fashion challenge type stuff. But I think this is the first time we've talked.
That's so funny. Yeah, I believe that's how I initially met you. Was you've been a part of a lot of our fashion challenges, which is awesome. But then also you have a VA company or brand, which some of my friends work with you, which is very cool. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. If anyone listening doesn't know what a VA or virtual assistant is, can we start there at the very basics of what your job is and what kinds of stuff you do?
Yeah, so VA stands for virtual assistant, which is basically, it can be a range, but basically it's an assistant that someone with usually an online business will hire to just help them with tasks. I mean, that's the very basic definition. As far as what a VA does, it varies a lot. A lot of them will do just kind of general administrative stuff, helping you with emails or calendaring, filing system, just basic stuff like that. And then there's also VAs that will help with social media or, event planning. There's all kinds of things. But yeah, it's basically just someone to help a business owner run their business and take the tasks off your plate that you don't like doing.
Yeah. And I told you before we started recording, but I now know about how magical VAs are, but I've been doing things and running businesses for over 10 years, and I didn't even know such a thing existed until, I don't know, a couple years ago. And then I thought it would be absolutely out of my budget. The idea of being able to actually hire someone to help with things seemed like something that only the richest and most successful businesses could do.
Totally.
But I think that's something amazing is that, and this is maybe not for everyone, but it seems like there is actually a pretty wide range of budget and hours and time for VAs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of VAs will charge hourly, and the hourly rate definitely ranges. I'm in a couple VA communities where people charge anywhere from $15 an hour to $50 an hour if they're pretty specialized. So it depends. And then a lot of VAs will do package pricing. So it'll be kind of a monthly retainer where you're paying for a couple hours a week or, 20 hours a month, whatever. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I kind of do customized packages like that. But yeah, I would say if anyone's thinking about it and wondering can I afford this? Is this for me? Because you're right. A lot of people don't think about it. And especially when you're just starting or, you're maybe just barely making some money in your business. It's not something you think about. And you maybe you didn't plan on having a team when you started your business. But a ton of solopreneurs, for lack of a better word, have a VA that helps them. But yeah, to go back to the budget, I like to suggest 20% of your revenue at the most should go to a team member or a multiple team members if you're hiring multiple people. So that's kind of a good, if you're I don't even know what I should be spending on someone. If you look at 20% of what you're bringing in, then that's a good idea for what you could spend on hiring a VA or some other help.
I think that is super helpful because yes, a lot of people, especially like you said, solopreneurs, lots of us didn't go to business school or don't really know what we're doing. So
yeah.
for
for people who like sort of stumbled into business or maybe like me had an Etsy shop that just happened to work. And then you were like, oh God, what do I do with this now?
Right.
I feel like that's really helpful.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't go to business school either. Like I honestly kind of stumbled into this and have just learned things over the course of my like career in general. So yeah, we're all kind of just like learning and figuring it out together in some ways.
I think that this is such an underutilized and like, I don't know what a better word would be, but I feel like when I talk to other business owners, everyone has that list of things that is it's their hang up. It's like the things they just never get done because they don't want to, or they don't know how, or it takes them forever. And I think it is really scary to think about hiring an employee because, you know, what if something happens? And that's just like a big undertaking. So I feel like something like a VA is a pretty perfect balance of that, where I imagine it's different for everyone, but you can probably even talk to them ahead of time and say, like, here are the list of things that I just cannot seem to get done. Like, what could you help me with? And I feel like that is such a helpful thing for business owners.
Yeah, I have noticed a lot with talking to prospects or just people that are curious about like, what do you actually do? That, yeah, people don't really know like what to even ask for. They're like, I know that I'm overwhelmed AF and stressed out and like I am like neglecting things, but I don't know what like I actually need. It's hard for people to articulate sometimes, especially when you get to that point where you're like maybe on the edge of burnout. It's hard to articulate like what you actually need help with. It is nice to have a conversation with possibly like multiple VAs. If you're like seriously looking to hire one, like you probably want to kind of have like an interview process, for lack of a better word, to get to know them and figure out what exactly they can offer and see if you're a good fit.
Yeah. And I think something else, which I'm speaking like, I've actually never hired a VA, which is something that I super thought about like a year or two ago. And then my life got crazy and I may still at some point because I think it's such an amazing thing. But some of my friends who have worked with VAs, your job is to know how to do things better and like have a better system. And so sometimes like even just that is so valuable, depending on, maybe this is just me, but I kind of feel like everyone's behind the scenes is a little messy. So having a person who's just like, okay, we're going to set up a process for this because it clearly needs one.
Yes, exactly. And that's actually kind of my like specialty is processes and systems. I'm definitely like a creative person, but I'm also very like organized and process oriented. And I think mostly because like I just get overwhelmed myself if I like don't have things that way. And so I feel like I'm really good at looking at someone's business and being like, okay, this is where we can improve things, like, you know, find inefficiencies and correct them. Yeah. I mean, I really just want more business owners to feel supported and like they're not alone in this, and everybody like to know that everybody has these problems. Like everybody's got this like messy stuff going on and it's not easy. And it's like, it's okay to ask for help and it's okay that your shit is crazy. Like we can help you get help.
Even if you're not a complete mess, just having a fresh set of eyes can be such a valuable thing too. Like even if you do kind of have a process, the number of times that especially, you know, for those of us who do work kind of in a void, the number of times where I've just been talking to a friend or letting someone into a thing that I'm working on and they're like, why are you doing it like this? This will be so much better for you. It's like, oh, because I just never thought about that.
Yeah, for sure. That kind of stuff happens all the time. It's like, you know, people have different ways that their brains work and you might not think that like there's a better way. You don't even think about it because you're just like, this is how I've always done it.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about both sides. Like, I think my guess is that more listeners will be on the business owner side who would be interested in hiring a VA. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about, in case anyone's listening who is like, actually, I have a very organized brain and something like this as a career is interesting to me. Can you talk a little bit about like how you did get into it and what it's like to be a VA? you work by yourself for yourself?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I kind of stumbled into it and I am still working a full-time job as well. Like my goal is to have this be my full-time business, but I'm very like slowly but surely kind of ramping up to that.
I mean, even that is very cool and good to know too, that like lots of people work full-time jobs while doing other things they like, either for extra money or just to test out new fields. So that's really cool that you've been able to do everything you're doing while still working full-time.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it can be challenging, obviously, because it's a lot of work, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. And it's nice to be able to kind of like slowly ramp up and really like figure out what I want and like build it in a sustainable way so that I'm not getting to burnout. Cause I'm very like anti-hustle culture. Like I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for my clients. So yeah, that's like part of why I'm moving like kind of slowly is because I myself am like low energy and I want to make sure that I'm not like just going full speed just so that I can like quit my job sooner.
I support that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is incredibly wise of you to make sure, I mean, first of all, that you even want to do this full time and then also to set yourself up as well as possible to not be incredibly stressed all the time. I think that is A+. So you sort of like made up this career path / like found it. What did that look like, or how did you even land on this?
So I've like wanted to work for myself forever pretty much and wasn't quite sure what that looked like. I mean, my career like started, I went to beauty school and I was doing hair for a while, which was fun, but I just realized it wasn't really for me. Like I wasn't as into it as I needed to like be successful. But I knew that I wanted to like do something creative and, you know, be able to work with people one-on-one and something. So then I kind of stumbled into like some different, you know, online business training. You know, there's tons of people out there that are like teaching people how to have online businesses. And I kind of like tried to do it the way that people were like telling me I needed to do it. If that makes sense. Like I'm sure you've seen stuff out there,
yes.
right? Like you buy like the online courses and they're like, this is how you do a business. And if you don't do it this way, you're
I've
wrong.
Bought so many of those. I can 100% picture this.
Yeah. So there was like a minute there where I was trying to like do Facebook ads and like writing sales pages and stuff like that, which like parts of that I liked, but I wasn't really into it. But I kind of just like felt like that's what I needed to do to like make money and like be successful. But it didn't really work because I wasn't really into it. Eventually, like over the years, realized like I don't actually have to do it the way that other people say I have to do it. Like I could do it my way. But yeah, so to how I got to like the VA side of things, my current full-time job, which I've been at for like 3.5 years, is as an administrative assistant. So that is very similar to like the VA thing. You know, it's administrative stuff. And there's aspects of the job that I, you know, really don't like. But for the most part, I found that I am good at what I do and I do enjoy parts of it. So I kind of started thinking like, maybe I can do this for myself and like work with people that I really like, whose like, you know, values align with mine. And then I did Robin Geek Girl Strong's Power Program like 1 year ago now. So it started last September. And I really loved working with her. And then like right as Power Program was ending, I think she had like posted in the Discord, which is like for her patrons and clients and stuff, that she was like looking for help. And I was like, hey, I have been thinking about like starting this virtual assistant thing. And I have, you know, this experience that aligns with it. So I just kind of like started working for her. Like we talked and it worked out. And so that was kind of how it started. Like, so I wasn't really like I was thinking about doing it, but I didn't feel like I was ready to start. And I wasn't like launching my business officially or anything. I just kind of stumbled into it because she was like, I need help. And I was like, I would like to help you. So that's how it started, working for Robin. So I've been working with her since like the beginning of the year, which has been wonderful. That's basically it. I just kind of found my way there. And then, like I said, I've been kind of slowly ramping up and just brought on a second client. Yeah, it's exciting. And then I've got a couple other like people that I'm talking to that I might start working with soon. So things are kind of ramping up from there.
That's so awesome. And that's really helpful to hear too, because I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, especially I feel like over the past 5 years, and especially geared towards women our age, I feel like there is this like movement of everyone should start a business and they should all look the same and everyone has to do the same things, which is so wild that happened. So for anyone that worked for, great. But for a lot of people, I feel like I hear the story a lot of like, there isn't generally like a straight trajectory where it's like, oh, I did all these things really intentionally that I thought about for a long time and made a bunch of sense and went to a lot of school for. It's like much more of a wandering path, which I think is helpful to talk about because, you know, that's how life works, actually.
Totally. And we're all different people. Yeah, there's not like some cookie cutter thing that's going to work for everyone. And I feel like that whole like online business culture too is, I don't know, it's very like whitewashed and like ableist. There's a lot of just like spiritual bypassing type of stuff of like, well, you just need to change your mindset.
It's all manifesting.
It's kind of exhausting. And I'm just like, I don't want to subscribe to that. So you don't have to either, listener, just FYI.
That is honestly a big part of the reason I wanted to have these conversations with a bunch of different people is a little bit combating that too, because when I do panels talking to creative people at conventions or whatever, there's so much of what is like relatable to people that we don't all have this like cookie cutter path. And also that lots of people's behind the scenes, I mean, it makes sense that we don't talk about them because on the one hand, like it is no one else's business. So that's fine. But then I feel like lots of us project what we imagine is behind the scenes for other people. And it's always like everyone else's life is perfect and makes so much sense and mine doesn't.
Right. Like, what's wrong with me? They have their stuff together. Why don't I?
Also, I mean, the other side of that too is that working with a VA can help you make your behind the scenes a lot more organized and a lot less stressful.
For sure. I mean, it's as simple as just like having someone be able to take certain tasks off your plate that aren't what you like about your business or aren't what your strengths are. You know, like I mentioned, like preventing burnout, that's a huge thing. It's also nice to just like have someone to bounce ideas off of and help you like hold you accountable if that's something that you need. And even like managing your to-do list, like for yourself as the business owner, if you're someone that like needs help managing your own like projects and tasks, like a VA can help with that as well. There's just so many benefits.
And I imagine, I mean, this is me speaking for myself, but also I have a lot of friends who are doing similar things to me. I think many of us fall into the trap of, well, I'm just one person, but I want my business to grow. So I just have to do everything. And even if my to-do list means it's 200 hours a week of working, like, oh, well. So I imagine having someone else look at that and objectively say, like, this isn't working because you cannot possibly do this. So let's like work through how to make this list possible is really great.
Exactly. Yeah. And even if you never want to hire an employee, you can still get help. Like if you're hiring a VA, they're going to be a contractor. So it's not like you have to worry about any of the logistics of like having an employee. And yeah, nobody's going to be like, oh, you couldn't do this by yourself. Like nobody could do it by themselves. Like everybody has support, even if it's not someone that they actually hire. Like you got to have somebody to help you out. And yeah, it's not going to be sustainable. Even if you're trying to do it all on your own, like you can't keep that up for very long. You'll just like crash and burn most likely. So don't let yourself get to that point.
Yeah. And I think there are two things, like it's amazing that the way that you can utilize a VA, it's both possibly doing things that you don't enjoy doing, but then also possibly doing things that you're not as good at. And that's totally fine to not be perfectly 100% great at everything you're supposed to do, because that's really, really hard for one person to do. So like, you know, working with someone else who's just able to do the things better and faster than you is incredible.
Yeah, like maybe you are really good at the administrative stuff and you don't mind like sorting through your emails and things like that, but maybe you like really hate the social media side and you just want someone to like post stuff for you. There are VAs that will do that. So there's really like, you can find somebody that is able to like take over that thing. Like you said, whether it's what you don't want to do or what you're not great at doing. And they'll probably be able to do it quicker than you can.
Right. Because they're thinking about that one job at that one time instead of 1 zillion jobs, like a lot of entrepreneurs are.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think something else you brought up earlier too is really important is I know a lot of people work for themselves because they don't like having bosses. Like I know that is a pretty common thing, but there is also like a flip side to that where some of us do need or function much better with accountability, but it's really hard to like do both. And so I think having someone that you work with, so like, you know, as a VA, it's not like you are coming in and completely changing what someone is supposed to do and like telling them to do all of these things that they don't want to do. It's not like that, but it's like, okay, we're going to work together and like we will be accountable together and I will help you as another person. And I think that is like not something that is thought about that often in my experience, but is hugely, hugely beneficial.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I keep saying this, but like there's so many different types of VAs. There's like this another acronym, OBM, which is an online business manager. I think people like that one's like even less known, I think, than VA.
I don't know that. So yes.
OBMs are generally like a lot more like big picture planning, like project management focus. So I feel like I'm like kind of a hybrid of the two because I would say the traditional VA is very just like task focused, like give me a to-do list and I will do it. Whereas like the OBM side of things is more like what you were just saying of helping you, like giving you your to-do list and like, this is how we should prioritize things. So I kind of have like a good mix of that where I can help you organize and prioritize. I'm also going to like do some of the things for you, if that makes sense.
It does. And this whole conversation is just me kicking myself for not hiring a VA like 8 years ago. And maybe my entire business would have looked different.
Oh gosh. Yeah. That's the thing too, is like, you probably need to hire help before you realize that you need to, because once you're like at the point where you're like, oh, I'm like really overloaded and I need help, it's like even harder to try to onboard someone because you're already like overwhelmed. So, I mean, it's hard to anticipate like when you can get to that point. But yeah, if you feel like you maybe are getting close to that point of like, yeah, I could use some help, you probably should start that process now.
Yeah. And hopefully this episode will help people who maybe haven't thought of it before, like have that kind of in the back of their mind to look out for when they think that is helpful. And I hope that for a lot of people, especially now for anyone working like retail, this is about to get crazy for all of us. So hopefully if anyone is listening and is like, oh my God, I need to do this right now, that you do, because I think it will help you a
right,
lot.
For sure. That is a good point.
So obviously you are only one person and cannot like work with every single human listening to this episode who probably wants to hire you, but or if people want to get in touch with you about seeing if they would be a good fit to be one of your clients, what's the easiest way for people to find you or reach out to you?
Yeah. So I'm like in the process, like I was literally working on it a few minutes ago of getting my website finished so that it's like actually up for people to go to, but that will be pixiepickaxe.com. Hopefully it'll be up by the time this episode airs. I don't know. I should say that so that I have like a deadline on myself to get it finished. But otherwise, I'm Pixie Pickaxe on Instagram, which I haven't really been using as like a business page. I'm definitely not a social media person, but I do have like a little link tree type thing in my profile. So you can contact me through that. But yeah, I will just say too, like you said, I'm just one person and don't have like unlimited capacity. But I do have like some other things in the works as far as like offerings. So aside from working with me on like a monthly basis, I'm trying to build like a VIP day type of service. So if you just need help getting like a project management system set up, or if you're a service provider and you need like a CRM, client relationship manager set up, basically like I would work with you and we would just take a day and set it up together. So that's like something I'm kind of working on, still like fleshing out as far as something I can offer. But that's kind of an alternate if you're not ready to hire somebody to actually like work ongoing. we can do like a project-based thing potentially. And then I have lots of ideas. Like I really just want to be able to help as many people as I can, like to get their businesses to a more sustainable, like healthy place so that people are not getting burnt out and they're able to grow their business and, put more of their goodness out in the world without sacrificing their mental health. Like I said, I'm still kind of in the like baby phase of my business, but I have lots of ideas. And so hopefully I'll have ways to like support more people in the future. So I'll have like a newsletter thing that people can sign up for on my website once that's up so that you can get updates as far as like if and when I launch other things like that. Yeah, that was a really long response to how do people.
But it's great. And I love the list of possibility. Like, I feel like I'm zenned out just hearing the list of things. Like, oh yeah, that would be so great. Like all of these things are like imaginary weights lifted off my shoulders, just picturing that someone else can help with that stuff.
Totally. Yeah. And even if you want to contact me and if I don't have the capacity to work with someone, because like I said, I have very slowly been ramping up and I have a couple people like in the wings. Like I don't want to have a ton of clients because I want to be able to support the clients I have really well. But I also want to help you like find another VA that might fit for you. So if you want to just reach out to me and be like, this is what I'm looking for. Like if I can't help you, I will try to help you find someone that can help you. So feel free to reach out to me.
That's amazing. Thank you for this conversation. I hope that people listening feel as like hopeful and relieved as I do thinking about, the idea of having someone help you take care of yourself and your business is what a novel idea, but it's possible. I hope more people can do that. And I'm excited to see like what happens with your business because it sounds like you have a really good, like solid foundation. So I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for listening to our episode. If you want to hear more like this, you can subscribe to the Sartorial Geek podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or a review or head to patreon.com/sartorialgeek. Thank you so much. Have a great day.